Good morning, Los Angeles, and welcome to the City Council meeting for Tuesday, August 2nd, 2011. We're here in the John Ferraro Council Chambers, room 340 of City Hall, where we meet every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday at 10 a.m. I want to thank those council members who have joined us here on time, Council Members Parks, Reyes, and Wesson. We are awaiting a full quorum, or 10 members of our 15-member body, and while we have excuses today from Council Members Huizar and Labange, we do expect the rest of the council to be here. Now they're about 7 or 8 minutes late, so Council Members Alarcon, Cardenas, Englander, Koretz, Krikorian, Perry, Rosendahl, and Zine will please join us as soon as possible. We'll begin the meeting shortly. I want to welcome our viewers on Channel 35 who are here with us today, as well as those who are here in person in council chambers. Also, we are available throughout the internet at lacity.org, where we have live streaming webcasts of our council meetings, and we also have archived footage of our past council meetings as well. Furthermore, you can listen in on your telephone by calling the following number, 213-621-CITY. It's 213-621-CITY, and that's called Council Phone, and you can listen into the proceedings of the council and any of the committee meetings we have as well. Finally, if you'd like to join us via teleconference, you can do that in one of our remote facilities in Van Nuys City Hall or San Pedro City Hall, if that's closer to where you live. Save yourself some time, traffic, and be able to testify remotely from those locations to here in council chambers. Again, thank you to those council members who are here. We have 5 members here now: Cardenas, Parks, Reyes, Wesson, and myself. Still awaiting the following late council members: Alarcon, Englander, Koretz, Krikorian, Perry, Rosendahl, and Zine. Mr. Zine is here. Thank you, Mr. Zine. That's 6 members. And a very happy birthday again, Mr. Zine, to you. Hope you had a good birthday yesterday. As you enter, you've spanned 8 decades, I made the calculation. It's true. It's no exaggeration. 8 decades of American history in Dennis P. Zine. We also have cards available for folks that would like to speak on any of the items that are before us today. All items receive a public hearing either in council or in committee. Any items that have already had their public hearings in committee require a council member to reopen the hearing. Otherwise, here a card automatically triggers any items that have not yet had their public hearing. We are awaiting 3 more council members to begin the meeting. This is our 3rd quorum call for council members Alarcon, Englander, Krikorian, Perry, and Rosendahl. As soon as we have a quorum, we will begin. We want to welcome our guest, the Consul General of Mexico, as well. Always a pleasure. I know we'll be hearing more from him with Mr. Reyes just shortly. So hang on, everybody, and we will begin the meeting as soon as we have a quorum. Thank you. Here's our final quorum call for our assist us. I know there's a committee meeting going on, but if we can release the other committee members, please. The chair needs to state their business and have Mr. Alarcon, Mr. Krikorian, Mr. Rosendahl please join us. Thank you. We have a quorum, so Madam Clerk, if you please call the roll.
Alarcon, Cardenas, Englander, Weezer, Caress, Krikorian, Labange, Parks, Perry, Reyes, Rosendahl, Weston, Zine, Garcetti, 10 members present and a quorum, Mr. President.
First order of business, please.
Approval of the minutes.
Mr. Koretz moves and Mr. Cardenas seconds. Those are approved. Next order of business.
Commendatory resolutions for approval.
Mr. Alarcon moves and Mr. Krikorian seconds. Without objection, those will be approved as well. Since this is Tuesday, if I can ask everybody in the chambers to please rise for our salute to the flag. And Mr. Koretz, would you be kind enough to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Please put your hand over your heart. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mr. Koretz. If we can run through today's agenda.
Can you note and file?
Colleagues, any items you wish to call special? Now would be the time to direct your attention. First items, please.
Item number 1 is an ordinance notice for public hearing. There is a card for this item.
Okay, let's call that special for card from the public. Next items.
Items 2 and 3 are Department of Building and Safety liens notice for public hearing. There's a request to continue item 3 to August 9th.
Okay. If there's no objection, we'll continue item 3 until the 9th of August. Anybody wishing to call 2 special? We'll close the public hearing on that. Anybody wishing to call 2 special? If not, let's go ahead and vote on item 2. Please open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
Item 2 is approved. Next items, please.
Items 4 through 8 are items for which public hearings have been held. There's a request to continue item 8 to August 12th.
Okay, any objection to continuing item 8 until the 12th? If not, so ordered. Any specials 4 through 7, colleagues, 4 through 7? Yes, Mr.
Item
Englander?
5, please.
Item 5 for Mr. Englander. And if no other specials, let's take up 4, 6, and 7. Please open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
Okay, those are approved. Next items, please.
Items 9 through 32 are items for which public hearings have not been held. 10 votes required for consideration. For the record, item 29 should state, request El Pueblo Department to approve the fee waiver.
All righty. Without objection, we'll go ahead and consider those recommendations. Do we have any specials on these items?
31, please.
31. Mr. Reyes. I'll call 32 with Mr. Rosendahl as well. Mr. Parks?
Yes, I'd like to call 30 special, and when the detectives and the family get here, we can have it out of order.
Okay. Go ahead and do that. Any other specials, colleagues? Yes, Mr. Kretz?
On behalf of Mr. Weezer, I would like to ask that number 29 be noted and filed.
29, move to note and file. And do we have any cards on any of these items?
On items 12, 14, 17, 30, 31, and 32.
Okay. Mr. Englander, did you have?
And we vote on 10, 11 forthwith, but also if we could withdraw 5 from special.
Okay. Hold on, we'll come back to that. Let's go ahead and take a vote on the remaining items, 9 through 32, that were not called special. Please open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
We'll send 10 and 11 forthwith without objection. If we can go to the supplemental agenda, please.
On the supplemental agenda, item 33 is an item for which public hearings have been held.
Okay. Anybody wishing to call 33 special? If not, we'll go ahead on 33. Please open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
That is approved. And item 34.
Item 34 is an item for which public hearings have not been held. 10 votes required for consideration. There are cards on this item.
Okay, without objection, those are before us. We'll call it special for cards and Mr. Reyes and myself as well. Okay. We've actually had a request to take 34 out of order first, so I'd like to recognize Mr. Reyes and Mr. Ziner, or Ms. Perry, if I could ask you to take the chair so I can join Mr. Reyes. Thank you.
Yes. Can my colleagues join me? Councilmember Cardenas, Councilmember Alarcon, Councilmember Garcetti, and Councilmember Guisar, if he's here. You only one from committee, right? Good morning, buenos dias. Colleagues, thank you for this moment. Thank the Council President and my colleagues, Council members Cardenas, Councilor Alarcon, and I hope Councilor Huizar will join us. He's excused today. But I'd like, colleagues, to introduce to you the Consul General of Mexico, David Figueroa. We speak with great pride about our historical connection with Mexico and of all the wonderful results of that relationship. Indeed, everywhere we turn, quite literally, from the street that was once called Calle Primavera, that today is called Spring Street, or Calle Acetuna, that today is Olive Street, or Calle Central, that we all know today as Main Street. We see this very close personal relationship with Mexico. Well, this morning, we're here to not only celebrate, but to recognize that 125 years ago, this very day, August 2nd, 1886, marks the 125th anniversary of the establishment of the Consulate General office in Los Angeles. It's the first office of the Consulate of Mexico was located at 132 North Main Street. And the first Consul of Mexico in Los Angeles was Joaquin Diaz Prieto. Today, the Consulate General of Mexico that is located here in Los Angeles is the largest office of a Consulate of Mexico abroad. And for Angelinos in this region, what this means is that they have a voice, they have a face, they have a sense of confidence that they could speak to a fellow Mexicano here that can aid them, direct them, provide guidance when they have complexities here in Los Angeles, if not in California, in the Southwest. They're able to understand how process works, how to defend themselves, how to be part of the job development, educational systems of this great country. But without losing perspective that there's a helping hand, there's great support from a consulado who definitely cares. I've had the opportunity to work with the consulado for the past 20 years, 10 years as a staff person and now 10 years as a council member. We have seen physical changes where they have broadened and improved, expanded the offices, where they once were in line in the sun, now they're in shade. They used to be in the rain, now they're dry and covered. They have lighting systems, they have ability to translate, and they speak to the hardships that right now we are suffering because of the anti-immigrant environment we live today. This country is a country of immigrants. We are strong because of the diversity, and the Consulado has had a presence in this great city for over 125 years. And for that, we thank him. We thank him and his team, as well as all the consulados in the past who have made a big difference. I thank my colleagues. I'd like to introduce our Council President, Councilman Garcetti.
Thank you very much, Mr. Reyes, and thank you for this presentation today to our friend David Figueroa Ortega, who's done already an extraordinary job making a splash here in Los Angeles, but also bringing his wealth of experience in leadership and his staff, everybody who is here. We really love working with you so seamlessly. 125 years ago here in Los Angeles, just to give you an idea of the context, there was a terrible flood that happened in Los Angeles. Many people lost their homes. Westlake Park, not yet named that, was actually given to the city, which would later be MacArthur Park. So this is the first time that we got that land, an old railroad depot. The Otis family consolidated its control of the Times-Mirror Company and took over the LA Times that same year. The first two cities after Los Angeles to incorporate were Pasadena and Santa Monica that year in the county of Los Angeles. And a railroad war was going on, a pricing war, and tickets got down to the price of only $1 from Kansas City to Los Angeles, which really resulted in a huge flood of an influx of some of the original migrants to this city from other parts of the United States. So in that context, it was pretty amazing, not only given our past as a Spanish and a Mexican city, that we had essentially diplomatic relationships open up between this city and the Republic of Mexico at the time. We looked at some of that history, and this is something that we're going to be celebrating, and the consulate today this week is organizing a series of cultural, educational, and academic events to celebrate the anniversary. But all of us as a city recognize how close that tie has been. It wasn't the establishment of a new tie, it was the bringing back of an old tie and an eternal tie that we have here. We're very proud of our heritage as an American city, and we have the American flag flying highest here, but we also recognize our Spanish and Mexican past here in council chambers, in our seal for the city of Los Angeles, and the friendship that has really transcended borders, transcended divisions that we see sometimes politically, to true friendship and true cooperation. So congratulations to the Consul General and to the consulate. And in October, the consulate will partner with the city and the Office of the City Council President to put on a Spanish language government Government 101 class, which is how we explain the basics of how City Hall works. And we're very excited to be partnering with the consulate, continuing that American tradition of incorporating people into the political system here and doing that hand in hand with that partnership. So felicidades. And with that, I guess I'll hand it over to Mr. Alarcon, who actually served with the first Consul General back there 125 years ago.
A fine man he was. I think, I was surprised to hear that it was 125 years, and I think that's an amazing accomplishment. But I think, as a history teacher, I wonder whether people generally understand what a consulate is and what an ambassador does. And I think the primary focus has historically been on the economy, on trade, and on relationships, building relationships. There was a dramatic shift in the nature of the Mexican consulate when Mexico authorized dual citizenship. And what that means is that people who were born in Mexico and now live in the United States and have been naturalized retain their citizenship to Mexico. Well, what that does to the consulate is it transitions it from a primary focus on trade and building relationships to a service-oriented program where they have to take care of their citizens from Mexico. Well, I don't know if I can explain this to people who are not familiar with this, but that means that we are working together to take care of our people, United States citizens who are also Mexican citizens. And that means we have a closer relationship with the consulate of Mexico than ever before. And I want to commend the consulate for taking on that challenge and doing such a tremendous job of it. In fact, they've done such a tremendous job of it that Mexican citizens, who are also American citizens, take it for granted now. It wasn't always like that. And I want to thank the leadership of Mexico for creating the dual citizenship opportunity, but more importantly, for stepping forward and providing the services to those citizens that we share in common, our people. And so it gives me particular pride and pleasure also as a Mexican American that we have built and improved that relationship in doing so. So I commend the consulate for the work that they're doing day in and day out, every day. And I don't think the people of Los Angeles know how much work they do. But it's a tribute not only to David Figueroa Ortega, but to his tremendous staff and to the leadership in Mexico as well.
Thank you. It's my pleasure to be part of honoring in these council chambers David Figueroa Ortega, and that's a short name by Mexican standards, and welcoming him to Los Angeles in his tremendous role and capacity of being the Consul General of Mexico here in Los Angeles. As was mentioned earlier, there's a tremendous, wonderful history that dates back beyond 125 years between Mexico and the United States. and then 99.9% of it is all positive and good. But one thing that I'd like to note that I have a very personal connection with our new Consul General here in Los Angeles, and that is that his father was a farm worker here in the United States, just like my father was. The Consul's father was part of a Bracero program, something that certainly benefited this country tremendously. The Bracero program was something to help make sure that the #1 economy in California and in the western United States remained such, especially during World War II, when most of our able-bodied men and women were focused on that effort. So they are very, very involved in this country, the Mexican community and Mexicans, for many, many generations and decades in a very positive way. And one of the things that I think the consul's job is to make sure is that when it gets less than honorable with the attacks and or the feelings and or the rhetoric toward Mexicans here in Los Angeles, that he be part of that stability in making sure that everybody understands that we'll get through this and that everything's going to be okay. The discussion on immigration, certainly in the western United States, especially when it comes to negative connotations about immigrants, tends to fall squarely on the shoulders of Mexicans with all of that rhetoric. So I just wanted to point out that our Consul General and I had a conversation in my office, and he's ready, willing, and able to carry on his responsibilities, some of them very formal, and some of them direct, and some of them much appropriate and needed. And in some cases, unfortunately, having to defend Mexicans here in Los Angeles from attacks and from rhetoric that is not warranted. So I just wanted to point out that I'm glad that the Consul General has taken on this responsibility. And also, the largest concentration of Mexicans outside of Mexico are right here in Los Angeles. So he has the biggest job of any Consul General of Mexico in the world. And I'm proud to say that he is fast becoming a friend of many of us, and I know for sure, and I can guarantee you that he's going to do a tremendous job. He's well prepared, and I believe that his toiling through these issues are passed down to him from his father, who toiled in the fields right here in California. And I want to end by saying that to this day, Mexicans from Mexico and people with brown skin who grew up south of us are the backbone, literally the backbone of the #1 economy in California, and that is still to this day agriculture, and something that we should be proud of and that we are proud of. Yet at the same time, we need to make sure that we're proud of the people who are breaking their backs every single day to make sure that that economy is still #1 and it literally feeds the world. Thank you.
Mr. Reyes, Mr. Rosendahl would like to say a few words.
Yes.
Mr. Rosendahl.
Thank you, Madam President. Good morning. Welcome to this mix here in Los Angeles and Southern California and interacting with us. I know that right now in Mexico, the drug war is just decimating people. I had lunch with a dear friend. He's a physician. He's 77 years old. His family, of course, he grew up in Mexico, and he can't go back right now. His family's been under death threats. There's been all kinds of assassinations. And it's a very, very serious situation. Is there any opinion, advice, or suggestions of what we can do to work with you under what I think to be one of the more serious moments right now? Not in our relationship, because truly we are one people, and I feel that strength that Mr. Cardenas was saying, and Mr. Alarcon and Mr. Reyes and Mr. Garcetti, but this is a serious moment. Is there any opinions you have or things that we can do together to deal with what I think is a very serious crisis? I'd like to ask you that question.
I'd like to introduce him, but I want to make sure we hear from our colleagues. And
Yes,
perhaps
we have one more speaker, Mr. Zine.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Council General, I had the opportunity to enjoy lunch with you. We spoke about some of the issues that my colleague, Mr. Rosendahl, has discussed, but you are here to help build relationships and help the people of the city of Los Angeles with the vast territory that you cover on behalf of the Mexican government. I just wanted to with the official welcome. We've had some wonderful representatives from Mexico that have served in that capacity. You're following in that same capacity. And it was just a true pleasure enjoying lunch with you, the opportunity to get to know you on a personal level, and hopefully we'll be doing that again. But I welcome you, and you have my total, complete support, I'm sure, with all of my colleagues, whether they're Latino or Lebanese. We're all together.
That's right.
And I reminded you that the richest man in the world lives in Mexico, and he's Lebanese, Carlos Slim, the richest man in the world. God bless you.
Mr.
Very
Krikorian?
timely point there.
Thank you, Madam President. Since Mr. Zion opened the issue of building relationships and how everything comes together in Los Angeles in this great melting pot, I think it's important also to note that the great ambassador of Mexico to the United States is an Armenian. So I think that should be noted as well, as I wish you congratulations, bienvenidos, felicidades on this great anniversary, Mr. Consul General. It's a pleasure.
This is truly a rich country. And colleagues, with a great sense of honor, I'll introduce to you Consul General David Figueroa Ortega.
Muy buenos días. Good morning. The Honorable City Council President Eric Garcetti, honorable members of the City Council of Los Angeles, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, I would like to thank Council Member Ed Reyes and City Council President Eric Garcetti for presenting this resolution to commemorate the 125th anniversary of the Consulate General of Mexico in Los Angeles. I truly appreciate the City Council of Los Angeles for joining us in this celebration. Today, we celebrate the history of the Consulate in Los Angeles and the strong relationship between Mexico and the United States and this city, which is home a very large Mexican community that over more than a century has grown and thrived. During the past 125 years, the Mexican Consulate has worked hard to serve its community and build a strong partnership with elected officials, like yourselves, that have played an important role in helping us reach our goals of protecting the interests and rights of our nationals. Throughout these years, the Consulate has also shared common objectives and worked side by side with many organizations that have helped us meet with needs for our community. We have been fortunate over the years to have a strong relationship with the local business community. Today is an opportunity to reflect on the past, on our history, and on our future. We know we have to work hard and always look for ways to innovate, to adapt to the change and embrace the new challenge so as to empower our community. On behalf of the government of Mexico, I thank you for your support and cooperation and for all that you have done to make this city a beacon of hope and welcoming home for people from all over the world. Thank you again. Muchas gracias por su atención esta mañana.
So on behalf of the City Council, signed by all the members, we present to you this resolution, the 125th anniversary of the establishment of the Consulate of Mexico in Los Angeles. Congratulations.
I guess we got to vote. We ask for your support.
Yes.
Mr. Parks, I believe you wanted to recognize someone in the chamber today. Let's open the roll on this item.
Excuse me, Madam President, I believe there's cards on this item.
All right, Mr. Thomas, before we introduce you, we do have a card on this item. We do have to vote on it. Oh, actually, go ahead and then we'll vote. It's all right. Go ahead and do the introduction, then we'll vote.
Thank you very much. Colleagues, I'd like to introduce you a young man that's been a part of our city a number of years, went up to Sacramento for a short while, has just returned as the Vice President of Public Policy for the Los Angeles Area Chamber, and that's Anthony Thomas. I just wanted to say hello to him. You'll probably be seeing him. And welcome back to Los Angeles.
Oh, it's good to be back, Councilman, and thank you for the introduction. It's good to be back home, believe me. It's good to see old friends and knowing that we will be making good new friends. On behalf of the Los Angeles Area Chamber of Commerce, I'm looking forward to working with all of you, and thank you very much.
Thank you.
Congratulations, Mr. Thomas. Now let's go back to item 34. Mr. Walsh, you have a speaker card on this item before we take a vote.
Appreciate it. John Walsh, blogging at HollywoodHighlands.org. It is an honor to have the Consul General here. And I ask you, Mr. Consul General, to fight the anti-Mexican and Hispanic racism in this city, where an Hispanic was arrested for beating up Brian Stowe and exonerated because he was a Mexican American. And now the mayor and the police chief refuse to release Mr. Ramirez from jail when he's absolutely innocent. We live in a city where my fellow Mexicans, I don't believe there are any illegals or illegitimate children or anything. We're together. And the racism comes from the Mexican-American mayor who keeps Ramirez in jail, and from the white man. And who did they catch? The man they caught who was responsible for beating up Stowe was a white boy, a white man. Finished.
Thank you, Mr. Walsh. All right, let's open the roll on this item. Close the roll. Tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
Next item.
Madam President, you wish to go to general public comment or items called special?
Why don't we go to public comment right now? Let's see. Dr. Williams is here. John Walsh is here. Arnold Sachs is here. Matthew Dowd, and then we'll go out to Rick Nightingale and Van Nuys. So let's start with Dr. Williams, then John Walsh, then is Arnold Sachs, Matthew Dowd. All right, in that order.
Dr. Clyde Williams, LA 32 Neighborhood Council, Northeast LA, El Sereno. Okay, we had a little bit of a meeting this morning. Question. If you're going to double the rates over the next 10 years for some city services, should you have a ratepayers advocate for that organization? Because uncontrolled cost increases are usually caused by, mandates. Well, mandates are laws, and those go through the process that the city makes a support or oppose proposition on. So well before the rates come due to this council, the rates should have been estimated based upon the mandates before they were voted on, not after. Too late. Too late for a lot of things. So what I'm recommending is that the Department of Public Works establish a ratepayers advocate for the rates on solid waste, sewerage, stormwater, on-site wastewater disposal systems, and projected for the 10-year period to the year 2020. Thank you.
John Walsh, and then following John Walsh is Arnold Sachs.
John Walsh saying, all we are saying is give peace a chance. First, we have asked Michael Giannacco of the Office of Independent Review at the county to do an investigation of City Hall, possible City Hall interference at DCFS, Department of Children and Family Services. And I want to say, there's crookedness up here, but there are no dead children. You're not responsible for children hanging themselves. That kind of shame is over there at the county. That's where the real shame is. Magic Johnson? Is it true that Magic Johnson, when he appeared here, didn't have to go through a search? They have two rules here. One is for the hoi polloi and one for the VIP. We should have rules here. If people get searched when they come in here, it should be like the
Mr. Walsh, I'm going to have to ask you to stay on topic on issues that are under the city jurisdiction.
The topic is the jurisdiction of you when you make us be searched in city council. And you didn't stop the clock when you spoke. They do that over. I'm telling you right now, if you're famous, you don't go through security checks here. But in the airports, you do. Everybody does. $30 million, Cirque du Soleil. That's our investment in the show. It's so bad, people are walking out on it. And I'm telling you, we spent $30 million, which was eligible for low-cost housing. They're calling it not Iris. They're calling the show Virus. And as far as the CRA is concerned, it is going to die on August 31st. HollywoodHighlands.org and our President Garcetti said porn sites get 10 times as much hits as my site. Is that gay or straight porn sites?
Thank you. Arnold Sachs, you're next. Matthew Dowd, you're after Arnold Sachs. Then we go to Van Nuys for Rick Nightingale.
Yes, good morning. Thank you, Arnold Sachs. I'm wondering if that last comment was homophobic. You know, fortunately, on Friday, I was able to leave the council chambers before I got to hear the councilman in this discussion regarding Staples Center. But I was here because that's the nice thing. I went home to light a candle for the people who had to stay and listen to this gas bag-a-thon. But I did hear Tim Boy, Lewicki mentioned something about cave people, citizens against virtually everything. Maybe I might be considered one of those people. But what I'm really against is corporate welfare, like AEG seems to get. You can't be involved in a profit sharing, but can be involved in a debt share. The city is paying $48 million a year for the convention center that was built in 1971, and they want to add $15 million on top of that. Geez, can I use your credit card to pay for a couple things? We had hearings about advertising, but we had hearings in the Tourist Trade Commerce Committee regarding billboards at convention center. How much money has the city gotten on that? There's land use constraints that are put on the city about what uses they can get for the parcels. There was a constraint about advertising at the convention center. AEG is doing the environmental review. What about the city? Fair market value for property. I seem to recall there was a park that was sold. The people who wanted to buy the park did the assessment. There was a building sold in Hollywood. There's remarks by Mr. Wesson regarding the zoo parking. What about the change from the $350 million in December 2010 down to $195 million in 2011? Why a difference between the $195 and the $80 million for the parking comes to $275? That's $75 million difference between the original proposal and what's being called for now. Yeah, this is open and transparent for sure.
Thank you. Matthew Dowd.
All right, thank you. First of all, I just seen a city lawnmower driving down the street, no license plate, no registration, and yet just around the block there's a city traffic officer giving a citation to a pedestrian. Anyway, if you're just tuning in, I'm Matt Dowd. I sued the bejesus out of the city. A federal judge gave me a preliminary injunction, so I've got a new slogan. I got shirts, I've got hats, I got postcards, flyers. I got the big banners all set up at Venice Beach. You can fight City Hall with all the case numbers. So could we hand these out to one of these sergeant-arms? Is there anyone here? So anyway, I got the document. You're bringing out a new ordinance at Venice because we've knocked it all out. The permits are gone. Everything's gone. Knocked out by the Ninth Circuit. So they're bringing in a new thing. They're going back to the one that Michael Hunt sued. And here's the document from Dooch, Nooch, and it says, see, I'm enshrined in the First Amendment now, Dowd versus City of Los Angeles. You've got to talk about me in the document. And then it goes on to say, the current version also utilizes the inextricably intertwined standard that the Ninth Circuit found to be unconstitutionally vague. So there's your city attorney saying it, okay? And that's the one I sued. So here's the federal judge, Dean Pregerson. I'm going to read from his preliminary injunction. With respect to Matthew Dowd and his as-applied claim, Plaintiff Dowd claims that the city violated his First Amendment rights by ejecting him from a meeting after he stated during a public comment that the president pro tempore was pathetic and hopeless and is not doing a very good job, and complained about and this is the federal judge talking, this is his order, and complained about the inextricably intertwined language in the ordinance because there's no guidelines for what that fucking means.
Our next speaker is Rick Nightingale and Van Nuys. Yes, he did. 30 days. Our next speaker is Rick. Go ahead, Mr. Nightingale.
Good morning, Rick Nightingale. One of the speakers earlier was talking all about, about talking about Hispanics and you're a bigot and you're so forth and so on. What about when they had the World Championship soccer match here? A friend of mine, he plays every Sunday. He's an advocate of it. And when it came to putting out the trophy, it was all in Spanish. I mean, you talk about getting your face slapped and so forth, but I didn't read about it in the paper about, what they did. I didn't hear anything about the council. Oh, that's right, the council's basically, they're all Hispanic and they back the Hispanics. All right, that sounds bigotry, don't it? But this was the United States. It was in California, and they couldn't speak English over national TV. Now, what do you call that except bigotry and so forth to America, as far as I'm concerned? And then let's get back to the elect of in Washington, where they're calling the Tea Party and all the Democrats that you're terrorists and so forth. All they want is a balanced budget, where we're asking for you to do. But no, when somebody talks against you and so forth, oh, you're a terrorist and you don't know what you're doing. What do you think? We think that you are basically, the government is trying to bankrupt it. Just like Obama is, giving everything away and expects the average person in that to pay for it. And who would you call as a terrorist? I would call you people terrorists. And Obama a terrorist. Because he's bankrupting the United States and you're bankrupting the city. It's been going on and on and on. And what do you want? You crazy people are voting these people in? I don't feel a bit sorry for you. Because it ain't affecting me. I'm set just pretty. Because I don't have all that stock and all that other crap. I own property. I can't believe you people.
That will close our general public comment. As a reminder, there are children that watch this. We would ask folks to refrain from even constitutionally protected speech and to use their better judgment. If it becomes disruptive, consider that a warning. We will now go to items called special. If we can go to the next item called special, please.
Item number 1, call special for cards.
All right. Dr. Clyde Williams is our first speaker.
Dr. Clyde Williams, El Sereno, LA 32 Neighborhood Council. On this one, please add red zones for fire hydrants, and it should be $83 penalty. One of the problems, LA DOT is in charge of painting curbs red around fire hydrants, but fire hydrants are done by the DWP, so there's a disjunct, and many fire hydrants in the city of Los Angeles have no red zones around them. So please have an additional fee, say $83 for a penalty for parking in front of a fire hydrant, because those are life and death. Those are damages. If there's no parking around them, then the fire department can access. Too many departments are involved. I reserve 1 minute.
John Walsh is our next speaker on item number 1, then Arnold Sachs will follow.
John Walsh, blogging at HollywoodHighlands.org. 100,000 successful hits a month, about 1/10 of what porn site gets, according to Garcetti. Look, when you had the issue of the red camera, this room was full of reporters. Now you're slipping through an increase in parking penalties. I'm telling you, you're no different from the Tea Party. Yeah, you're the Tea Party here. You want to take money from poor people and give it to rich people. I'm telling you right now that the red light cameras, first of all, if you have a red light camera ticket, they're handing it to a collection agency. And that means the collection agent, that goes on your credit record. I'm asking you to erase all negative credit records related to the red light camera. In other words, there are tens of thousands of people whose credit have been ruined by not paying it. Now, I'm asking you simply to defend why you are raising the cost of a parking ticket. And I want to hear from you. Why don't you say it? Say what the new rates will be. Let everybody know, because the media was too lazy, because the LA Times didn't make it an issue. So we're sitting here, and it means that out of the pockets of poor people, and that means minorities, they are going to be spending, as the city, as the county, and the city, and the state government continues to be onerous towards minorities. You are now slapping them with higher parking tickets, and you fix your own. HollywoodHighlands.org. I'm a race trader. That's what whites call me.
Next speaker is Arnold Sachs.
Yes, thank you. Good morning. Arnold Sachs. Here's my concerns about actually the parking program in general. You just had hearings regarding the red light cameras, and it comes out that the court, the Superior Court of the County of Los Angeles, isn't following through with DMV to put the failure to appear on somebody's driving record, thereby creating a warrant situation that would force the person to show up. So in essence, the court is saying we have a picture of a violator, but we're not going to hold that violator accountable because the ticket goes to the registered owner, and we're not sure the person in the picture is actually the registered owner of the vehicle. That's in essence what they say. Well, in parking tickets, you don't have a picture. So how can you be sure that the vehicle is being ticketed was driven by the registered owner? The courts have said we're not going to follow through on violations even though we have a picture of a violator committing the violation. Parking enforcement has no picture of a violator. It has a violation, but it doesn't have a picture of the registered owner. So following through on the court's logic, you could say, I didn't park the car. How can you give me a ticket? We've already heard that before the gold card was canceled, the inability to pay was a reasonable excuse not to pay a ticket. It was in the stories. So if you don't have a picture, you can cite county court law as a reason not to pay a parking ticket. Isn't that correct, Mr. City Attorney? You answered the question.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Matt Dowd. Sir, that is a warning if you're going to be making rude gestures. I will. Hey, sir, if you're going to be disruptive, we're going to kick you out. Mr. Dowd. That's your last warning if you can't.
All right, how many warnings do they get? Anyway, because I only ever get one, and sometimes it's zero. Let me talk about this, because this is important to me, because while you were violating me at Venice and taking away my income, I had a couple of valid street cleaning tickets, and they were like $50 or $60, and I couldn't pay them because you all took away all my money because you wrecked me, made me get permits, and you jammed all those people down on the beach there. That's why I had to sue. But then they all blew up into, late payment fees and all these things. Now I got the money to pay them. But that's not the point. Back then, it was wrecking my credit rating and everything. So now I love to see these agenda items. It's so typical. See, I'm so glad it's the unsanitized City Hall today. That I've finally got somewhere with Dean Pregerson and we're doing it the right way. Now, you always put it at the top. You got this thing like, relative to updating civil parking penalties. See, that's the sanitized version. I know it's Los Angeles, and you've got the consulate, and it's all lovely. And then Bill has to wreck it by talking about drugs. But that's off the topic. Let's get back to this one, City Attorney. Okay. Then at least you put it, they're raising so that's the point of the whole thing. They're raising the late penalties and the fines. Why? Because they're in a massive budget hole, because they were too distracted by us for 5 years and Zumadog and all that, and they took their eye off the budget, and now they're all broke, and they've got to get money. That's why they're writing tickets right here on poor, innocent pedestrians who are not really doing anything but waiting for the freaking lights, so they stepped off the curb too soon, whatever it was. That's where the city's at. And I'm happy to leave this city as soon as you settle all my damages for all the things you did to me for 5 years.
That will close our public comment on this item. If any members wish to be heard, seeing none, let's go ahead and prepare the roll and tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
That is approved forthwith without objection on number 1. Next item, I think Mr. Englander withdrew his request to speak on number 5 or to call special. So if there's no other members who wish to speak on 5, we'll go ahead and take a vote. Please open. Oh, sorry. Mr. Weston on number 5?
Oh, no, are we voting on this item
Yeah.
now?
Uh-huh.
Okay, I'll wait till we...
Okay. Open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
That is approved. Yes, Mr. Weston.
Yeah, I need to have item 13 reconsidered.
Okay.
And then we want to continue it until August 10th.
All righty. Let's go ahead and open the roll on 13, please. For a motion to reconsider by Mr. Wesson. Please open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
That is reconsidered, and Mr. Weston moves to continue that till August 10th without objection. So ordered. Next item, called special, please.
Item 12, call special for cards.
All right, item 12, Dr. Clyde Williams.
Dr. Clyde Williams, LA 32 Neighborhood Council and El Sereno, Northeast LA. We have a lot of brush that still needs to be cleared in CD 14 and in El Sereno. We have up in Mount Washington a lot of brush that needs to be cleaned up there before the fire occurs. There's Benedict Canyon, Mandeville Canyon. There's many places. These people that have appealed and that you're going to vote on have been arbitrarily selected? I don't know, because it seems to be a lot. I can name probably 100 different locations which have never been cleaned of their brush or lot clean. So why are these people being arbitrarily selected to have penalties placed against them? Because there are many others that have been reported to the fire department, brush clearance division, and nothing has resolved. No reply, but that's fairly common. I, in fact, have one lot which was not cleaned because it didn't need to be cleaned or cleared. And what happened? Well, one lot was on their records. The other lot wasn't adjacent to it. And now they say, well, they've been cleared to our standard. Thank you very much. I hope I don't get a bill later on. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Williams. Close the public hearing on 12. Let's go ahead and prepare the roll and tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
That is approved. Next item, if we can actually take 14, 17, and 30 together. Mr. Walsh, if you'd like to come up and speak on those 3 items.
John Walsh, blogging at HollywoodHighlands.org. Email us at hollywooddems@gmail.com. This is a very important item, and we're 100% in favor of this payroll. Your payroll is not up to snuff. I hope this helps. But I'd just like to finish by saying I hope I haven't been disruptive. I want to quote you. If you're going to be disruptive about someone else, we're going to kick you out. Well, we think that at the DCFS there's been some disruption, and we're going to the DCFS to talk about disruption
So you're off topic.
at here.
Hey, would you like to speak on the two other items that I called you for, 17 and 30? Sorry, Mr. Walsh, are you passing on those? I can't hear you. He passes on number 17 and 30. We'll vote on 14 and 17 right now if we can take up those two items, and we'll hold 30 for Mr. Parks. Let's go ahead if we can take up items 14 and 17. Please open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote. 12 ayes, those are approved. Mr. Parks, item 30, you called special. Item 30 is before us.
Mr. President, the family and the officers are at the front door.
Okay, so we'll hold that until the family is here. Thank you. Next item called special is item 31. Mr. Reyes, called special. And we do have a public comment card, so call forward on item 31. Larry Ortega, I'd like to come forward. Mr. Ortega. I'll recognize Mr. Reyes while we're waiting Mr. Ortega. Okay, I believe Mr. Ortega is here. So, Mr. Reyes, would you like to make your comments?
Yes. Thank you, Council President. Colleagues, as was stated this morning, we had a consul that represents another country, but our umbilical cords are tied closely to so many different countries throughout the world. This is an immigrant country, and it's significant and important, especially in this environment where you have anti-immigrant legislation like SB 1070 in Arizona. You have other language that is coming up throughout the country that speaks to the inhumanity of how law can behave when you have legislators who are focused on solutions that essentially ignores the history of this great country when we are attacking immigrants. And this resolution is about recognizing the notion of being proud of our heritage, of our diversity, and being able to embrace that strength that makes this country so powerful. And I ask for your support in this resolution, particularly when we have action like the DREAM Act, where we were able to get it signed by the governor, but it spoke to how we give young people who are raised in this country and are told in the last minute as they're applying to universities that they don't have proper documents and are denied a future. But we are now creating new ways and different approaches to embracing the richness of our youth. And it celebrates what we can do as legislators in trying to make this a stronger country for our future. So you look at our labor force, you look at our future professionals, you look at the wealth of knowledge that is out there that we can share with the great populace of the immigrant experience, and that's something that we should be embracing. So I ask for your support in this, more now than ever, when we should be putting a human face, a sense of compassion, and get away from the vitriol and the ugliness that currently is dominating the dialogue and how we look at comprehensive immigration, how we look at folding in the new talent, how we get ready for new technologies, and how we strengthen this great country for our future's sake. So I thank you, colleagues, for this moment to be able to present this resolution. but this is done in the spirit of creating a stronger city, a metropolis that is a reflection of the whole world. When you look at all the many countries, now the second largest population of the respective capitals are based here in Los Angeles. So with that, I thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Reyes, and thank you for taking the lead on that. If we can open the roll on item number 31, close the roll and tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
That is approved. We next have item 32. Mr. Rosendahl, I'd like to recognize opening comments.
Thank you, Mr. President. As many of you know, under the Bill Clinton days, they created something called DOMA, which was the Defense of Marriage Act. And because of that, gay people, no matter what states give us basic rights, like New York just did, thank God for Cuomo. What a good governor he is, folks, how he knew how to move forward with it. It still doesn't matter. Because the federal income tax, claims against deductions, receiving spousal benefits under Social Security, take untold leave for family and medical leave when loved ones fall ill, or obtain protection of estate tax when one spouse passes and wants to leave his or her possessions to another. Because of the federal law, which frankly is unconstitutional, we're putting this resolution forward, Mr. Garcetti, and I second it, basically to say state by state, granting us our rights is beautiful to see, but it is meaningless until the federal government repeals DOMA. Thank God Janice Hahn is back there. What a leader she's already proved to be. She's supporting us on this, as are many folks in the House of Representatives and in the United States Senate. So with this resolution, once again, we go on record and say, give me my basic civil and human rights, America. I have been a participant for 66 years in absolutely everything in this great nation, but still I had to go back to Washington and stand in front of the Capitol and fight again for my basic civil and human rights, because DOMA exists, which does not grant me the same rights that it does all the rest of you around this horseshoe who are heterosexual in your relationships when they're bonded. There are a good 1,000 laws in the federal government that the word marriage exclusively uses that denies me my basic civil and human rights. So Mr. Garcetti put a motion forward, which obviously I second, once again telling the Congress, get your act together, folks, repeal DOMA, give us our basic civil and human rights. Thank you, Mr. President.
Mr. Garcetti?
Thank you very much, and thank you, Mr. Rosendahl, who's not only been a leader on this here locally, but nationally, as he mentioned, on the Mall last year and with some of the top leaders. We appreciate your leadership in this forward. Colleagues, I urge your support, and I hope we can get a unanimous vote for this today. DOMA, the Defense of Marriage Act, creates two classes of Americans with different laws for each, and we cannot afford in this day and age to have that. I think watching what happened in New York State was very instructive to see Republicans and Democrats coming together for common basic dignity and equal rights. It's unconscionable that in the year 2011, after we're seeing Don't Ask, Don't Tell be repealed, after we're seeing the gains that are made throughout the country, that the U.S. government grants certain legal rights to one group of Americans and not for another. It is un-American. This is a nation that was founded on the principle that all Americans are created equal and that all of us should be treated equally under the law. So I want to thank, this is actually a specific piece of legislation today. It's not a general call, but part of the urgency that Mr. Rosendahl and I introducing this is that Senator Feinstein has introduced the Marriage Protection Act, which would do just that, protect marriage for all Americans, affirm our belief in the equality of every American. For any of us, I know Ms. Perry performed some of those weddings, Mr. Rosendahl and others. When we had legal marriage here in the state of California, on the steps of City Hall, we saw what that did to give people just the same equality, and we hope that that can be achieved back in California again and throughout this nation. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. There are no more speakers in the queue. John Walsh.
Notice this John Walsh, HollywoodHighlands.org. City Council is always very garrulous talking, but when it comes to gay rights, we get a lot of quiet City Council people here, don't we? Down with DOMA. you've heard the rap song, if you believe in DOMA, you must be in a coma. I'm telling you right now, we're looking at this vote. We have one right-wing member of this city council, Mitch Englander. So we'll see how you're going to vote. We'll see how right-wing you are. And we have another closet right-winger, Tony Cardenas. We'll see. He has been a homophobe here. We'll see how he votes. And I'm telling you right now, the word is out on the street in the San Gabriel Valley. Waxman and Berman have written a blank check to Sherman trying to coax him to run against Tony Cardenas. And Sherman is 100%
Stop the clock.
for gay rights.
Mr. Walsh, you're off topic. This
The
is
whole
not about
city council is
Mr.
off
Walsh,
topic.
stay on topic, please. Thank you. Start the clock.
HollywoodHighlands.org. And when you have anything to say, stop the clock the way they do it. You can't talk to me and tell me I'm out of order when the clock is running.
All right, no speakers, no further public speaking cards. There are no speakers in the queue. Oh, okay. All right, open the roll. Close the roll. Tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
Mr. Parks?
Yeah.
Forthwith on that item? Mr. Parks?
No, we'll roll with 30 now. We're ready to go with 30.
We're ready to go to 30
Yeah, we
now.
have the detective here.
Good morning. My name is Detective Stacy Simkowiak. I'm here in regards to a request to renew a reward that the council has prior approved for the murder of Kashmir James. Miss James was a 25-year-old just on the verge of starting her nursing career when she was gunned down in an act of senseless violence in South Los Angeles. And prior, we did have an award on this, and we're hoping that we can continue with that award and hopefully get some more legitimate clues in this case.
Colleagues, you may remember this case. This homicide occurred on Christmas Day. This is a renewal. In addition to Kashmir passing away, we also had an injury to one of the other family members who subsequently is recovered, and that's why it's a $75,000 reward. We're hopeful that the family would be here today. They got caught up in traffic. And so on behalf of Kim Evans, the mother, we'd like to ask that public to clearly help in solving this crime. It has gone well beyond reason to believe that since December 2010, we've not had anyone come forward. Detective, can you give your phone number and to where people can contact you if they have additional information?
Yes, sir. The number we could be reached at the Criminal Gang Homicide Division is 213-485-1383. And again, my name is Detective Simkowiak. And also, Ms. James was killed in front of her 3-year-old, and it was on Christmas night.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. And so I'd ask
Mr. Parks, apparently there's some audio issues. Could you ask her to repeat that again? And if I could ask people on the sides to keep their voices down.
Yes, Detective, you give that phone
Speak
number
directly
and
into the mic.
location.
The phone number for Criminal Gang Homicide Division is going to be 213-485-1383.
Okay. Thank you very much, colleagues. We asked for an aye vote on the $75,000 renewal, and unfortunately, family's not here, but we certainly appreciate the detectives spending the time and giving us this insight.
All right. Are you ready to open the roll on this one, Mr. Parks?
Ready
Okay.
to go.
Let's open the roll. Or is the family coming up?
They got caught in traffic.
Okay. Do you want us to vote on it now, or do you want us to? Okay. Open the roll on this, please. Close the roll. Tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
Mr. Garcetti, I believe you have an introduction to make.
Thank you very much. I want to welcome a special group of visitors, distinguished visitors we have here in council chambers today. In 2009, the U.S.-China Electric Vehicle Initiative was developed to provide the bilateral exchange of data from demonstration programs in the U.S. and Chinese partner cities. I received a call from the White House about, 3 months ago, asking if we in the city of Los Angeles, as folks that had been at the cutting edge of electric vehicle implementation, not just a decade ago, but now, and I speak as a 11-year electric vehicle driver, that we could collect data for our charging infrastructure and compare that with some of the great work that's going on in the People's Republic of China as well. And so we connected Department of Energy and our Department of Water and Power, and in January 2011, the City of Los Angeles and the City of Shanghai agreed to be partner cities and to cooperate and share data in our respective EV demonstration programs. If Shanghai is successful, if Los Angeles is successful, we can show, as I've known for over a decade, that you can live a very good life with electric vehicles. In fact, a better life perhaps than the one that we have today. When we have smoggy days, when we have the emissions and the noise, electric vehicles are lined up to bring a new future, a cleaner energy future to our world. Los Angeles and Shanghai are good partners because we're mega cities heavily impacted by poor air quality. I remember going to Shanghai for the first time in 1983, and back then Pudong wasn't even built yet. And it was to see the rapid expansion, the beautiful growth of that city, but also knowing that that comes with a cost to our air quality. The same things happened to Los Angeles. As we grew, we had days when I was growing up in which we couldn't go outside and play because the smog was so bad. So in January, I authored with Councilwoman Jan Perry, second, and the City Council approving a resolution to support and participate in this data sharing effort. And today the City is hosting the first meeting of the partner cities of Los Angeles and Shanghai, along with the U.S. Department of Energy and our own Department of Water and Power, to begin discussions on how the sharing of EV data between the parties will work. So I'd like to introduce our partners from Shanghai and the team of EV experts from the Department of Energy and the city who are here. And excuse me for mispronouncing any names ahead of time. I will do my very best. First, we have our Deputy Director of the Management Committee Office of Shanghai International Automobile City Jiangding District, Lu Cheng. Is that right? Right here. Thank you. We have our Deputy Secretary, Lu Feng, as well. Our Deputy Director, Tang Yun. Tang Yun here? Okay. No Tang Yun. We have our Vice Manager, Ding Zhaohua. Our Vice Researcher, Lin Hai. Professor Wan Zhe. And we also have from the Idaho National Laboratory, I can probably pronounce these a little bit better as well, Jim Frankfort is here. Frankfort? He left already? Okay. Larry Johnson from the Argonne National Laboratory. Paul Talene from the U.S. Department of Energy. Thank you very much for being here as well. And for our own Department of Water and Power, we have Brian Swikert, Marvin Moon, Leonor Garcia, and Patty Davis, and we appreciate you guys should get recognized too. Thank you for your good work. We hope this produces great data for our cities, for our countries, and for our world. We look forward to a clean, driving future. Congratulations, and thank you for being here. Thank you, Madam President.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Garcetti. And welcome to all of you. Mr. Parks, I think you wanted to make an additional
Yes, I appreciate that, Madam Chair. Colleagues, we just voted on the reward motion. The family just arrived, and I'd like to ask Ms. Kim Evans to come up, mother of our victim, Kashmir James, and family members come up with her. Ms. Evans would like to make a personal plea to the community for whatever assistance they can on bringing this case to closure. Ms. Evans, just speak right directly into the mic.
Good morning. I want to thank you guys for re-voting on her reward. I know we're late. I'm kind of shaken. I just want to make a plea to the community. It's been 7 months. It's been 7 months since Kashmir's death. It's really been hard on our family and our baby. You know, we really want the community to come together and bring these people to justice that did this to us. There was no reason that she should have been taken away from us. And we're just asking for the community's help. It's greatly appreciated if you guys could do what you have to as far as the reward is concerned and to bring justice to us, because please help us.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Kim and the family.
Wee.
Thank you, Mr. Parks. Is there anything else you'd like to add?
No, let me just ask the detective one more time. He's come up and give the phone number.
Again, the number to contact the police department with any information on this case is 213-485-1383. And as you can see, the family is extremely emotional. Things like these rewards are super helpful for us in getting people to come out of the woodworks and talk about things that they're too scared to talk about in the community. And on behalf of the family, again, we thank you for your support and for renewing the reward.
Thank you very much, Detective. Okay, Madam Clerk, what's the next item?
Council has motions for posting and referral.
Motions are posted and referred.
There are excuses on the desk. Council President Garcetti requests to be excused on Friday, August 5th for city business. A motion is required.
Without objection.
Councilmember Reyes requests to be excused on Friday, September 9th and Friday, December 2nd for city business, and that meets council policy.
Without objection.
That clears the desk.
All right, members, are there any announcements? Mr. Cardenas.
Thank you very much. Angelinos, tonight is National Night Out, and there are many events around our great city, and I'd just like to announce at least two of them that are participating in my district, and that is at the, or that serves my district, in Council District 7 at Roger Jessup Park at 12467 Osborne Street in Pacoima. There's a National Night Out event that starts at 6:45 and will go on beyond 7 o'clock, and there'll be food, games, and prizes. Also, there'll be another National Night Out that the main festivities commence at about 7 o'clock, and that's Arleta National Night Out at Liberty Temple, 13821 Osborne Street in Arleta. And again, that one starts, from 5 o'clock to 9 o'clock. And there'll be food, information booths, and entertainment, and a great opportunity to meet your neighbors. Thank you.
Members, Mr. Parks and then Mr. Rosendahl.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd just like to remind the community that the Nexus study for USC's specific plan will be reviewed and discussed today at 2:30 at City Hall Room 350 at the Plum Committee. And so those interested, also the two night out programs in the 8th District would be the Southwest Division at 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. in front of the Baldwin Villa Senior Citizen Facility at 3939 Marlton, and also the 108th Street, 108th Hoover Neighborhood Association will also be holding a night out, and it starts at 3 p.m.
Mr. Rosendahl and then Mr. Zine.
Thank you, Madam President. Again, as Mr. Cardenas mentioned, L.A. has its National Night Out with the rest of the nation right now. And it's a big deal. And we're doing two events on my side of town. At 5 p.m. at the Stoner Park Recreation Center at 1833 Stoner Avenue, the LAPD West L.A. National Night Out. Then at 6 o'clock, the Pacific Division has its National Night Out at the Mar Vista Gardens. And I will be at both locations, at the Stoner Park and then at the Mar Vista Gardens. Thank you, Madam President.
Mr. Zine.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have a couple of those in the West San Fernando Valley, Guadalupe Center, 21600 Hart Street in Canoga Park. That's from 4 to 7, National Night Out. Also another one at Randall Simmons Park, next to the West Valley Police Station. That's Wilbur and Van Owen, and that is going to run from 6 p.m. Come out and enjoy the activities with your senior lead officers and the representatives. We have another one in Canoga Park at 22147 Covello. There'll be a number of them in the San Fernando Valley. I suggest if you want specific locations, contact your local police station. The senior leaders are setting them up citywide throughout the city of Los Angeles. It's a major event free food, entertainment, meet your law enforcement officers, and help stop crime. This program has grown year after year in the nation, so it's a great, great program. We strongly support it. So come out and enjoy, meet everyone. It'll be nice and warm in the Valley, and we welcome everyone to participate in National Night Out. Mr. Garcetti, you're welcome too.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Garcetti.
Thank you. Two other national nights, or three. Hollywood will have, by the Hollywood Police Division, its usual incredible festival and stage and music and a good celebration, National Night Out in Los Angeles. I believe it started in Hollywood a few years back. We also will be celebrating in Northeast area, as well in Echo Park at the Walgreens parking lot there on Sunset Boulevard, and in Korea Wilshire Center in the Seoul International Park, 3250 San Marino Avenue. So great events throughout Los Angeles for public safety.
Mr. Englander.
And not to be outdone, we too will have the biggest national night out, of course, in our district at Mason Park, where we'll have a movie. We're showing, I believe, Yogi Bear. We'll have food, friends, and flexible hours for the right-wing district, I guess, as it was labeled earlier. But more importantly, we're going to have hundreds of people, and we're starting actually something different this year. Besides the movie and the face painting for the kids and jumpers, we're going to start an Excellence Award to all the community members who help pitch in and clean up and take part in the community throughout the district, throughout the year, and recognize them publicly in front of all their friends and family. So it will be a lot of fun. Thank you.
All right, thank you, and I hope to see everyone out tonight at Central Division, Newton Division, 77th Division, Southeast Division, to celebrate our communities. Are there any other announcements? If not, members, please rise for adjourning motions. Members, any adjourning motions? All right, seeing that there are no adjourning motions today, Madam Clerk, please call the roll. All right, the meeting is adjourned. Thank you.